So a little bit about me, Dan Beck. I I went to work in a lumber mill. My dear brother got me a job to help me get on there, and got me an interview, and I mucked my way through it and got hired. And I spent 11 years in a lumber mill. And during that time, other fellows were thinking about fishing and hunting and what they were going to do for the weekend. And I devoted my time, my thought time, to understanding Jesus' words. I read somewhere that heaven and earth will pass away, Jesus said, but my words will never pass away. So I wanted to understand what it was about Jesus' words that would never pass away, that were eternal. And I wanted to understand what Jesus' intent was when he spoke. That's what I was looking for. Where was he coming from? What was he about? What was priorities of his? And so here's what I did. I took all the words of Jesus. Yes, I took them out of context, but I wanted to study them in particular, those words that would never pass away. And so I put them all on a 4x8 sheet of plywood. That was a plywood, actually. It was some kind of roofing ceiling material that was really lightweight. You could move them around easily, and you could tape things to them, and you could use tacks on it, and you could put every paragraph of thought on a specific topic was 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 put on this board, and I began to sort through and find out how much actual words and an effort he put on any one topic. Surprisingly, being judgmental was quite a topic of Jesus's teachings, and so they took up quite a bit of time. And I realized that being judgmental was one of the things that people do in order to withhold love. Love being the primary thing that his message was about, and about the love of God. And we think about love a lot of times as an emotional thing. As human beings, we think about it as an emotional uh, attribute or spirit or attitude. But love can be more than that. Love can be a connection of parent to child, or a family connection, or it can be a loyalty, and it can be deep rooted in recognizing and remembering uh, those good things that were done to us, and trying to reciprocate those things out to the world. Abraham was a great lover, and he had no children, so he took out upon himself to be father to many that were around him. He took people in, he helped people out. He took 10% of all he had, and he devoted that, he said, to God. But what he did in devoting it to God was to spend it on God's children. So he taxed himself before there was taxes in existence, and he used that tax then to do good things for other people, and and so that made him the father of many before. He even had a son or of his own that could carry on what he was about, and God promised him that his seed would be like the sands of the sea and the stars in the heavens. Interestingly, they say that are as many stars in the heaven as there are sands on all the seas. Isn't that a coincidental observation that was made eons ago in the early writings of the Bible with regard to God's promise to Abraham? Just so happens the number of the sands in our seas are equal to, or very close to, the number of stars. There are actual stars that are in our heaven that we know about. At any rate, um, to love is to do good things to other people, and believe that you are making a better world, a better life for yourself in being a giving person, and that your attitude, what you're able to get out of life, is shaped by what you're willing to give. you cannot appreciate somebody else's effort unless you put forth some effort of your own. Only when you have sacrificed a little bit to do something good can you really appreciate the effort that other people put into doing good themselves for you. And so you can call it a construct, you can call it whatever the heck you want, but it's good common sense that the way that our minds work is that we perceive and believe according to what it is that we believe ourselves is wise and what it is that we can achieve. What we achieve helps us to believe in what has to take place in order for someone to care. And it's about recognizing the value of that care. And it's about recognizing the value of the intrinsic value of each heart, mind, and soul, and just how sophisticated and how deep they are and how great they are as a source of company and companionship and friendship that in the end I think is going to be the most important. If we are eternal creatures, which I believe we are, then we are eternally friends. We're not just friends here for a moment, but our friendships are eternal, and they are deeper and richer, and have far much more than we can imagine waiting for us in the way that they play out, and the way that they aid and help and care and appreciation, the way that those take uh, precedence and priority in our life. Now, all the words that Jesus had on a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and you could start grouping together. What is it that Jesus said that makes sense, good common sense, most people agree upon, uh, and what was it that I can't make sense out of? Because the message is deep and profound, and it's written in riddle form. Is some of the parables, actually most of the parables he says are written so that hearing they will not hear and seeing they will not see. I wanted to know what it was on both sides of the understanding, what it was to not see it and not hear it, and then what it was to hear it and see it. And the only way that I could do that was to ask questions repeatedly. And so I would go to work sometimes with a question, and within a week's time, after prayer and diligent reflection, I would walk away at the end of the week feeling like I had a deeper understanding. I had asked enough questions, and then pondered what the answers might be, and the answers revealed themselves. And I believe that that is available to anybody willing to do that, and uh, and that when we as a society go into Jesus' teachings, intent on getting the valuable message, the message that will help for world peace, a message that will help for personal growth and personal well-being and personal joy, as well as being able to share those things with others. When when we are diligently pursuing those things, expecting to find them in Jesus' messages, that we will find them. And I don't think we've scratched the surface yet. I think that the world's a mess because we haven't really realized that Jesus' salvation of the world is all throughout the parables that he has told, and his general message on Sermon on the Mount, and his general, easy to understand message of what it is we need to do as human beings to get along. So let's see. Um, so I can tell you that my study, of biblical Jesus' words, and almost 100% of the effort and time was spent on Jesus' words to understand what he was intending to say, what his message was, and what heart was behind the message, what what his what he wanted us to get from that. Now I've gone on a few minutes here. I want to wrap it up, but I don't want people to think that that love is like some kind of like a cheap um, emotion, like a knee jerk, uh, uh, you know, uh, feel good kind of a, oh, that just sounds pretty, or whatever it is, kind of a thing. I want I want Jesus. I want people to realize that that the love of God and the love that Jesus is expressing is so extremely logical to the way that our minds, hearts, and souls are wired, the way that we're created. We're created to do these certain things in a certain way, and to feel and to understand and to express them to each other in a certain way for us to be all that we were created to be. And so, um, when you're looking at the teachings of Jesus and the depth that is there, you're looking for the wisdom that is there. You're looking for something that will satisfy you, not emotionally, but intellectually. And you're looking for those things that will that will bring peace and that surpasses understanding. That will um, that will um, that will bring you a sense of companionship with not just this God, but a potential companionship, a better companionship with the children of God. Uh, so um, the very first riddle that I realized was a riddle was the riddle of Samson, and Samson's riddle is unique because here Samson tells a story about him on a pathway, and he's going to Timnath, and on this pathway a lion roars against him, and I realized that this was a human lion that roared against him, but the passage says it was a lion, and he had nothing in his hands, and he tore the lion in two, and he killed the lion, and he goes back later on, and lo and behold, out of the carcass of the lion, there's these honeybees in there, and he takes some of the honey and he tastes it, and he takes it home to his mom and dad, and he shares this honey with his mom and dad, and that's the way that is told. Now, he has a relationship with this gal in Timnath, and which is not a Jewish person, right? And she's I believe a Philistine, but be that as it may, he has this relationship with somebody not of his tribe, and but he puts forth a riddle to her relatives and says, if you can solve this riddle in 30 days, I'll buy. In 7 days, I'll buy you all shirts. And there was 30 shirts that he had to buy if they got the riddle, and if they didn't, they were going to provide him with 30 shirts. Anyways, so the story goes that they start panicking at the end of these 7 days and start putting pressure on his bride to be that they're going to burn her in her father's house if she doesn't tell him the answer to the riddle. So she then puts pressure on Samson, and Samson finally says, "Well, first he says, well, I haven't even told my mom and dad about this riddle or about this." And anyway, she pressures him, and he tells her. So she tells them. The riddle was this: out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. So at the end of the 7 days, they approach him after they've threatened her. They approach him with the answer to the riddle. Here's what they say: what is stronger than a lion, and what is sweeter than honey? Now, that, my friend, is not honey in the carcasses of a lion, because it would not be sweeter than honey. It would be sweet as honey. And the passage reads, what is sweeter than honey? And that was the clue. And then there was other passages where in the Bible where it talks about there's an angel gave John, I believe, the roll, and he says they eat the roll, and he says it'll be sweet in your mouth, sweet as honey, but in your stomach it'll be bitter. And I thought, well, that sounds like a Samson's riddle a little bit, and sweet in your mouth, but strong, and strong, it's hard to take. And I realized my dad once said, some people, they can dish it out, but they can't take it. Sometimes the truth is like that. The truth in your mouth is very sweet, but it's a two-edged sword. Sometimes the truth is really hard to swallow, and especially when it corrects you of your past behavior. Now, the truth is the answer to the riddle. It is stronger than a lion and sweeter than honey. That is what made me wonder whether this lion wasn't a person of the Lion of the tribe of Judah, and that he was a cynical person, and he was an angry person, and he was roaring against Samson because Samson was going down to meet this Philistine woman, this woman in Timnath, and Samson had a mission. He was on a mission. And so he was telling the truth to this lion, and the truth was so powerful that he could tell that the old person that was there was being slain. I believe it was somebody told me once that Abraham Lincoln said, "If my enemy becomes my friend, I have slain my enemy." And I thought that's what happened in the story of Samson. Samson had slain his enemy. He had quieted him down. He had conquered the anger and the accusations of this person, and he went back later on and he found that out of this person came words that were sweeter than honey. And that, my friend, I believe is the answer to Samson's riddle. What is that? What is stronger than a lion and sweeter than honey? It is the truth. Now, I learned that, and I didn't find that in a lot of commentaries anywhere else. So I thought, well, God gave that to me, and that's a pretty powerful thing. If an ordinary person could pray to God and ask for the answers and receive it, and who am I? So I began to look for more riddles, and there are plenty more there. But I wanted to share with you the riddle of Samson and the Philistines. Now, interestingly enough, later on, Samson is going to battle with these, and he looks around and he sees a jawbone of an ass, and he kills 1,000 Philistines, heaps upon heaps. It said, with the jawbone of an ass, I have slain 1,000. And later on, when you read in other places in the Bible, it says, and 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one. You see, these are little hints to the parables and the stories that are told. They're told like they're physical, literal stories. But you know what? There's little parts of it that don't make sense, like stronger than a lion is not strong as a lion, and sweeter than honey is not honey itself. It's something sweeter than that, and it takes on a different meaning, doesn't it? Now, how are we doing so far? Maybe your mind's completely blown. Maybe you've turned me off. You know what? I'm just doing the best I can. At any rate, I began to look for riddles that were similar to the riddle of Samson. When Samson said, heaps upon heaps with the jawbone of an ass, I have slain 1,000 men, he was talking about his own mouth, his own jawbone of an ass, and he was saying, I am a stubborn man. I am going to stick with the truth, and I'm going to defeat the enemy and make him my friend with the truth. And I believe that he used the truth as his own defense, and that was the solving of the riddle. And that was the very role that was given to John by the angel. And then the angel said, it will be sweet in your mouth, and your stomach will be bitter. And sometimes the truth leaves us like that. So, riddles in the parables. Yeah, they're there. And have we solved them all? Well, go look up in commentary and find out how many places will tell you that Samson's jawbone of an ass was his own jawbone. It was referring to that, and then they can explain to you why the honey that he said he ate was actually sweeter than honey, and that the lion that he killed was with his strength was stronger than the lion. Was either his physical strength, or was it actually the truth itself? And that gives you, a clue as to whether God speaks to us with tongues of men and of angels, and He does have love for us, but He wants us to pursue Him, and there's enough mysteries out there. There are books that are sealed. And these books, I believe, are going to be unsealed pretty soon, and the more people who start pursuing the truth as something that they would expect to get something positive out of, that when that time comes, that positive will be there and reveal itself. I think that's enough for now, Collie. I went on a long time. This is the longest video I've done, and I don't know if I've really scratched the surface on saying who I am. But when I learned that there were riddles in the Bible and that God would show them to me, and that I needed to show them to other people, and I was slow in getting the word out, and here I am, almost 70 in next year, and 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 I'm finally taking an initiative and putting forth the effort to stumble my way through it and get these parables out there, and so it should be an interesting adventure in how this plays out. Thank you for your time. Have a good night. Hit the like button if you like it. Uh, Leave me a message, critique if you'd like, and subscribe if you want to hear more. Share with your friends if that's your client, and God bless you, and have a good night. That's it.